Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to today's video. I'm just going to talk about why Ground War Infected, or Giant Infected, whatever you want to call it, is the most fun I've had on Modern Warfare with my 11 days in game time. And I'll tell you why in a little bit later in the video. But this is my second time recording, because the first time I was recording, which was like 3 hours ago, there was a little bit of a change to the Giant Infected playlist. So Infinity Ward sent out the tweet. The Giant Infection playlist was giving it a little too much XP, so we just rolled out a playlist update to remove the mode while we work on a fix. I'll talk about that tweet a little bit later on too, because I have some opinions on the XP. But anyway, for those that haven't played the game mode, it is basically Ground War Infected on Ania Palace, so 48 people infected. Once the infected countdown starts, there's 6 or 7 initial infecteds, and then they all have guns. But once one of the initial infected kill a single survivor, all of the infected with guns just get knives for the rest of the game. And it's your standard infected, with the infected having a tactical knife, tactical insurgent, and throwing knives. And then the survivors will spawn in with a mixture of guns. You will have random assault rifles with random attachments, which is really fun because you get to use all the assault rifles. So if you want to grind Damascus for assault rifles, Ground War Infected is actually a really good place to do it, because you'll be getting lots of kills. And yeah, so the background gameplay was streamed last night, and the reason there's no gameplay audio is because it's literally just me screaming with chat and music blasting. So yeah, it's a nuke gameplay though. It was my first game on stream. We dropped the tactical nuke, and for those that watched my how to get an easy tactical nuke video and said that you can't get a tactical nuke in Infected, this video kind of proves you wrong. So you can get nukes in Infected and call them in, and once you call them in, you will get that calling card as well. But it's a really fun playlist. I really enjoy it. It's very nostalgic for me. It feels just like the custom matches of Infected years ago on Modern Warfare 3, where you would go into a public session of Infected and then invite all your recent players into a custom lobby. You would just play with random guns and random gun attachments, and then it was fun because there was high player counts, and this is very reminiscent of that, with the 48 players that are actually in the playlist, or I guess in the game session. And going over that tweet that Infinity Ward tweeted out about fixing the XP, I think the XP was worth it, because you were sitting in a game for 10 to 20 minutes. So I think if you were infected for most of the match, you were still going to get 20,000 XP for your time in game, which I think is well warranted if you're infected. And then for survivors, if you're getting lots of kills, you get 40,000 XP per game, which in the lower levels is a lot of XP, but for like the higher level 100s, so like if you're like 130 and you're getting close to that 155 cap, that 40,000, 20,000 XP isn't a lot, but it's enough to help you level up and give you motivation to play the game mode as well. That, and it's just a fun game mode, spawning in with random guns, random weapons. I guess you do spawn in with more than just assault rifles, because you have pistols. And then there was also a time where I spawned in with the AUG, but it had the 5.56 NATO round drum mag, as well as the extended mag, or I guess the extended barrel, to make it an assault rifle. So you will always have an assault rifle, so you can always work on getting your leaning kills, your headshots, your long shots, 3 kills without dying, double kills, kills shortly after reloading. Super easy to do all those challenges in Giant Infected. Also, I wouldn't recommend doing hipfire kills in Giant Infected, just because you run that risk of having to get close to the enemies and risk becoming infected when you could just be working on camos. So if anyone wants to work on Damascus camos, great game mode to work on it for assault rifles. Chat, do you guys hear that in the background? The simp meter is going off. That means we're going to have a like the video checkpoint. We're going to have to check your vibes and make sure you like the video. If you don't like the video or dislike the video, you are a certified simp. That's all I'm going to say. It's scientifically proven. Don't ask why. Continuing on, there is a lot of fun times I've had in this game mode. Even if I'm infected, I'm still having a lot of fun, because there's tons of survivors to target, and you don't have to be rushing the main group that's always going to be on top of gas station of Ania Palace. Also, I do want to see more ground war maps in the future. I think ground war maps that would be fitting would be the new Scrapyard ground war map, just because it's a pretty level map. There's not a lot of high elevation, and even if there is high elevation, the infecteds can get to it and access it very easily, as well as a map like Krovnik Farmlands after the patch update. Really a really good map. They've polished it out. And then there's also Karst River Quarry. You would have to do some tuning to Karst River Quarry, either let there be helicopters so infected could actually fly the helicopters and then land on the roofs and on top of the huge tower where the survivors would probably be camping out for the most of the game, but also make it so only the infected can fly the helicopters, because survivors would just fly the helicopters around for infinite amount of time. So you'd kind of have to nerf vehicles as well. You couldn't have tanks, because then survivors would just sit in the tank and there'd be literally no chance for the infected to infect them. So remove the armored vehicles, the tanks, the helicopters, maybe block off some paths. So on Karst River Quarry, you would actually have to block the path to climb the large tower, or just remove the ladders in general to the higher locations on that map, just so the infected have a fair chance. And for those big ground war maps like Karst, Farms, even Port would also be a good ground war map for infected. And then the new Scrapyard map, what you could do there is you could just nerf the vehicles into the ground, or just remove them completely, and then just make it so it is a 64 player playlist rather than the 48 on Anaya Palace, just to make it a little bit more fair, because those last few, like those last 4 or 5 survivors would be against 60 infected. The only issue is, which I've noticed a lot in Anaya Palace, is there's a lot of people that will just hide for the whole match, and the game will end because you can't find them because it's such a large map. Even with 47 infected trying to find one last survivor that has specialists, so their mini-map or their dot isn't appearing on the radar, it can still be a long, tedious task to get those last survivors. So they could do some tuning, but I would like to see these ground war maps introduced. The only one I don't want to see is Tavers District, because imagine playing ground war infected on Tavers District. You'd have to have like 200 players in that game to make it fair, because players could just sit at the top of the skyscrapers and the infected would have no chance of getting them, because there's like 1 to 2 access points per rooftop. So that's gonna be the video today. I hope you guys did enjoy the gameplay in the background, as well as my take on why ground war infected is the most fun I've had in Modern Warfare so far. Leave a like if you're not a simp, dislike if you are a simp, subscribe if you guys want to see more videos, become a member in the description below to support the channel a little bit financially. I'm about to head out, and if there is one, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.